Robert Plank Show, episode 102. Generate prolific passive income on Udemy with Alex Genadinik. Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Robert Plank Show. This is where we talk about creating your own full-time income online, and we have a really special guest today. He knows a lot about this platform called Udemy. His name is Alex Genadinik. He's a three-time Amazon best-selling author, creator of some of the top mobile apps for entrepreneurs, and a prolific online instructor with over 80 courses on Udemy. So you know what, Alex? I'm looking at your Udemy page and I'm seeing you have 66,000 students. You have almost 1,800 reviews. That's pretty dang crazy. So welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be on, and I'm excited to share everything that I know about Udemy with your audience.
Awesome. So just to make sure that we're all on the same page, could you explain to us what Udemy is?
Yeah, Udemy is this really rapidly growing place where their motto is anyone can learn anything. It's basically the idea of e-learning that's been around for maybe the last 20 years, but they've really taken it to the next level and they're making it mainstream. And it's high quality, really good learning, things like that. Whereas I think everybody is familiar with e-learning here and there, but before it was kind of hacky. It was spotty. You didn't know what you were getting. Maybe you got it in like a university, but this is like Udemy is like legitimately. They have like I think over 20 or 30,000 courses on all kinds of topics, and they're high quality courses. So it's a fantastic marketplace where literally anyone can learn anything, but also anyone with expertise can teach and make money.
And that's pretty cool because, I think that sometimes I'll want to learn a new skill or a new piece of software, like I want to know like Photoshop or Google Analytics, and the choices in front of me used to be either to try to go through some free YouTube videos and I would get sometimes old information, or I'd buy a Kindle book and sometimes get, just words and no screenshots. Or like something like Linda or something. So I've used Udemy a few times as a buyer. Like I pay $10 or $20 just to learn something really specific. So as far as you selling on Udemy, like what kind of stuff are you selling? And what's like your favorite course on Udemy, I guess, that you're selling?
For me, my favorite course is I have a course. Mainly, I teach people entrepreneurship, business, and marketing. And my favorite topic is marketing. And the more advanced the marketing techniques, the more they are my favorite. Because it takes more creativity and more insight and more experience to really become proficient at them. So my favorite course that I teach is it's called Marketing Strategies to Reach a Million People. And you know it's got everything, right? It's got social media, it's got SEO, and it's a really long, like 14-hour course with I think over 120 different lectures. And I really take a person from being, a new marketer and take them through almost everything, like offline marketing, social media marketing, SEO marketing. Often the combinations of those things, right? Because sometimes, social media platforms have a big search component, right? Like YouTube, for example, or iTunes, for example. And not only search, but there's a secondary algorithms like the recommendation algorithm, right? Like, so, in podcasts, like, oh, if you like this podcast, you will also like this one. On Amazon, if you like this book, you will also like this one. And so, I take a person from very beginner to pretty advanced in understanding how to leverage those SEO and even more complex algorithms online, and really get as much traffic to their business as possible.
Okay, and I'm looking at that exact course, and you had 6,200 students take that course. And so, when I see Udemy courses on that and things like that, like I've seen some people, and especially like some internet marketers, put out Udemy courses, and I see that sometimes the course has thousands of students have gone through it. Does that mean that if I'm looking at like the page right now, 6,200 times $20, does that mean that all of those thousands of students have paid you $20, or is there like some kind of strategy to like make it free first and then charge for it, or like what's the deal with that?
Yeah, you can make a course free. In the case of that particular course, I only in the very beginning gave away a few copies for free. So most of the students there are paid students. None of them paid probably exactly $20 because at different times this course was different price. So sometimes this course used to be $500, and then Udemy said courses can only be $300, and then the course was two ninety nine, and then Udemy had another price change, and now the top possible price on Udemy at the moment is $50, and I think that might change soon too because they're also experimenting on their platform. So I'm kind of just rolling with the punches of Udemy, and what I do is often people who enroll in my courses, they get emails from me with discounts to my other courses. So usually, if the marked price is $20, anyone in my other courses can get this particular course at a discount. So I like to give discounts. So it's nicer for people. There's less risk for them, and they buy more, and I'm happy.
And that's pretty cool. And I think that when you look at like platforms like this and like Udemy, like it's great that it make I from what I understand, like it makes it easy to put some videos online. It's easy to have it hosted. You don't have to make your own website. But I think that, and let me know if I'm right or wrong here, but it seems like the biggest advantage to Udemy is there's just so much traffic, right? There's so many people looking to buy something from you, right?
Yeah, exactly. That's the main draw of Udemy as an instructor. By the way, one point I forgot to make is that if it makes sense for your audience, maybe on your show notes page, we can post a link. I have a page on my site where I have a very steep discount to all my courses. So even your listeners who are not necessarily students of my courses can get discounts, pretty steep discounts if they're interested in any of my courses. So maybe you can have a link to that.
Yeah,
Uh,
shoot me the link and then we'll link it at robertplank.com/102. That's what we'll
cool.
put it. So,
And yeah.
go ahead.
I think you're completely right. I mean Udemy, it's the main draw is the buyers, right? Because it's an e-learning platform, but it's also e-commerce, just like Amazon is e-commerce, and just like on Amazon, right? Like where are you going to sell your book? Of course you're going to sell it on Amazon, right? Or the Kindle. So the same thing happens for Udemy. Udemy is like the Amazon for courses.
Okay, and I mean, yeah, and speaking of Amazon, I mean, like, I don't know, like, I resisted Amazon for a long time because I saw people be selling books there, and I'm thinking, well, why would I want to sell a book on Amazon for 99 cents or $2? In the same way on Udemy, I say, well, why would I want to give away like you had that course that has 12 hours for $20? But I mean, if you make $20 sales times or $200 sales times whoever knows how many students, then that's great. And the other thing too is that I mean you don't have to live on Udemy. So that kind of leads me to me kind of wondering like, okay, so you have a course on Udemy, and so for example, like this marketing strategy to reach 1 million people, does that have to be specific to their platform, or are you allowed to sell it other places?
Right. Their terms of service dictate that as an instructor, you are 100% allowed to sell anywhere else.
Cool. But it seems like but it seems like from a marketing point of view, you could, like you said, like you had your discounts and things like that. You could, have the same exact course for sale for $200 off of Udemy, but then someone finds it on Udemy and it's at a huge discount, so they can jump and buy it, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So where did you specifically like find out about this and find out how to put these Udemy courses online?
Well, years ago, I mean, I've been on Udemy for over 2 years. And years ago, I was kind of, I have some apps for entrepreneurs that were successful, and I wrote a book, and people they liked the book, but a lot of people literally were telling me, and say, like I got the same line from multiple people. They were like, hey, your book is great, and your tutorials are great, but can you make a video? We don't like to read. So I started dabbling in YouTube, and it took me a while to become proficient with video. And once I became proficient with video, to a degree, because video it's almost endless. There's always room to become better. But I became kind of good enough. And YouTube, unless you're a mega star, and unless you have like millions and millions of views a month, it's really hard to make significant money there, right? You have to be like above top 1%, right?
Oh yeah.
So I was looking to monetize my videos better, and especially like I'm not viral, like I'm not a cute cat. I'm not like an
You're
elephant
not a
baby.
hot girl, right?
Right. So it's like, there's not that much chance for a boring guy like me who talks about business to go really to become tremendously successful. I mean, my channel has over 1 million views on YouTube, but still, you need so much more there to do well. So I just kept looking for better places to monetize video, and I came across Udemy, which even at that time I felt it was mature at the moment. At that moment it felt mature. It felt competitive. It was hard to get ahead. Um, Not different from how I feel about it now. So it took me a while to also try to fully understand how Udemy works with all their ins and outs and all that stuff. But I just stumbled upon it really it was necessary for me because I was searching for a better way to monetize video that's better than YouTube.
Right, because I mean, like we were saying a few minutes ago, like usually when I'm on YouTube, I'm looking to get some information for free, and I guess like if you had your videos on YouTube and you made money from ads, you'd make like 2 cent 2 cents of income every now and then. So it seems like what I like about we're talking about Amazon and Udemy is that literally everyone on Amazon and everyone on Udemy is looking to buy something, right? There's nothing for free on Udemy. Or I guess there's like some free courses, but in general it's not like YouTube where it's like an entirely like free site. So I mean, you mentioned some of these things about like getting started. Is there like a place to find out the rules, or I mean, because you can't just throw up like just any kind of video you make, right? Do you have to like abide by what they want, right?
Yeah, there's a lot of rules. I mean, the most basic things is every course is minimum 30 minutes of video and minimum 5 different lectures, meaning 5 different videos. And there are some topics that are off limits, like I think something like guns are not allowed, porn is not allowed, but almost everything is. Gambling might not be allowed, but almost everything else is allowed. And then once you get into creating the course, there's really a tremendous amount on how to create a good course, how to promote a course. And Udemy has their own courses that they made to help to aid instructors on it. And also, sometimes I actually coach people who they're new to Udemy, but they have some knowledge. Maybe they're software engineers, or maybe they know about business or some other life skill, and they want to be able to monetize that, but they don't know, they don't want to spend like 6 months learning Udemy. So sometimes I offer, pretty affordable coaching. I do like an initial consultation call for 15 minutes for just $5, just for a person to get a sense if it's right for them. So that's also an option, because there's a lot more that I can explain in a conversation. But there's also free resources like Udemy Studio Facebook group, where there's 30,000 Udemy instructors and aspiring instructors. So it's a fantastic place it's for free, and it's a community where anybody can ask any question and get answers to almost all their questions.
Okay, cool. And yeah, like I'm kind of clicking through some of the courses you have, and I mean, you have courses about like, podcasting and Kindle and stuff like that, but there's, Bitcoin, yoga. I mean, just out of curiosity, what's the weirdest or the craziest Udemy course you have?
I don't do too many like crazy things. I have some health and fitness courses that I did with a few of my fitness instructors, just as an experiment. And I think those courses came out okay. People seem to like them, but that's not really my focus. I do have one unique course that's really unique, and it's I when I was in college, I really liked philosophy, and I was a computer science major, so I had to mostly learn it on my own, and it was like a passion thing. So there's this. I have a course that's like a philosophy course. It's a philosophy of religion, but it's not a religious course. It's more like I took all the philosophers through like the last like 2,500 years, and I took their perspective on religion, largely emphasizing existentialism, because that's where like the big crux happened, where instead of people asking like what should I do with my life, instead of getting the answer from religion, most people started looking inside themselves, and they're like looking for the answer. There is no answer, right? Everybody has to create that.
Right.
um, and that was like a big break in like big switch in like how people thought about it. So that course I really like because it's like a passion project from my own passion. And I don't know, it's I mean religion can always get weird, but it's really a philosophy course first and foremost, and it just talks about religion.
And I mean, if you have the knowledge anyway, and if you were gonna have a conversation about it anyway, why not just have make a video about it or make a video course about it, right?
Yeah, that thing I just wanted to share. That course doesn't, philosophy. It doesn't make a lot of money, but it's just for me to kind of share something I myself was passionate about, and I think it came out pretty cool. I mean, I quote different people, like from the best philosophers to Bob Marley, right? Because he has some things to say about it in his songs. He has some good quotes there. So I think it came out to be a well-rounded course, and I aimed for it to be the equivalent of a couple of college courses, like the main takeaways that you would get from a couple of college courses that I got. So I think it came out okay.
Awesome. So I mean, so speaking of that, I mean, I'm looking at. I mean, man, you have courses on all kinds of crazy stuff like Android apps and LinkedIn. So is there like a method to the madness? Like, I mean, do you just wake up one day and have an idea for a course, or is there any kind of research involved, or what's the deal there?
Well, largely I try to share things that I'm expert in, right? Because my whole how I got here is I made some successful mobile apps. So, I do have a deep understanding of the app business. I am a software engineer. So the apps, that certainly it makes sense. It made sense for me to make those courses, especially since one of my apps did really well on Android. I think, if you search for the word business on Android, my app has been number one for like the last 3 years or something.
Awesome.
So I teach people how to do the same thing for them, right? But it's something that I literally accomplished on my own, and then I'm like, hey, here are the exact steps. So that makes sense. But for the most part, my goal is to help people kind of start and grow their businesses. So all the courses they kind of help people with some aspect of it. Maybe personal branding, maybe like you mentioned on LinkedIn. Lately, I've been focusing on soft skills like motivation, right? And motivation is funny because like sometimes people are not motivated because they are focusing on they chose the wrong path for themselves, right? Sometimes somebody else chose the path for them and suggested it, and they just went with it, right? But it's not necessarily the right thing for them, and then they're like, half of them is not into it, so they're not motivated. And they're wondering, why am I not motivated? Why am I procrastinating? And so it's like goal setting, motivation, how to understand, how to find your own life purpose rather than having it handed to you by society or your parents or somebody else, right? Because no one really knows as deep as you do what really will drive you. And it's important to find that because if you, let's say, start a business, but it's not really your thing, or even if it is your thing, but you're starting a business in the wrong, dealing with the wrong people, in the wrong niche, wrong industry, you're not going to be motivated. And then you'll be like, why am I not motivated? What's wrong with me? Why is my business failing? Right? So it's not even any hard business skill. It's like a soft business skill, almost like life skills first. So, and now I focus on that because I see a lot of people failing in business precisely because of a mental issue, mental process, motivation issue, right? Nothing to do with the actual business.
Right. It's like they have a about bad foundation, so no matter what they do, the foundation's still bad, so they're still failing.
Precisely.
So man, I mean, this is crazy. Like I thought that Udemy, like as far as it got was like PowerPoint. Like as far as it got was like photography. I didn't know that you could make it as like you said, as soft skills as like motivation or philosophy. And it seems like what's cool about those topics is that I mean they stay evergreen, right? Like as opposed to if you teach like WordPress or Facebook or Android apps, 5 years later the whole the whole video has to be different, right?
Yes, it's totally right. Although, there's something to be said about the balance of evergreen versus super hyper demand, right? So, every year iOS development has some change, right? So it's not evergreen, but at the same time, it's the most lucrative niche on Udemy, I think. So, programming things that are super current and things where people can take it and get a job. That's really that's the most lucrative and money making thing on Udemy. So if you know anything technical from JavaScript to HTML to WordPress to Android development to whatever, all those things, that's the number one niche. The software engineering kind of tech, that's the number one niche on Udemy. So it's not evergreen at all, but that's actually, but it's hyper in demand.
And is there a problem with that? Like if you want to make a course about Android apps and you go and look at the existing courses and there's hundreds of courses already, do you just go ahead and do that anyway, or do you try to make yours unique, or what's your thought process there?
You definitely, anytime in a marketplace, you want to be unique. Have what's your differentiation, right? Like in any business. So that's important part. You want to have something catchy, right? Like for example, like my course, how to market to get 1 million people. Well, that course used to be just marketing strategies. It used to be just called marketing strategies, which is like a name that does not stand out at all, and it wasn't selling. But as soon as I renamed it to I changed it and renamed it to the 1 million people thing, it became very catchy and started selling. So definitely you want to stand out and be catchy, at all times. But that's not it. You also want to, be discoverable in search, all that kind of thing. So there's a lot of components really to making a course successful.
So there's like you keyword stuff the title so that it shows up on search. You kind of add like a hook or a promise so that when they're scrolling through the search, then yours kind of grabs the attention, I guess.
Yeah, yeah,
So
um, yeah.
So I mean, what are basically the steps to putting something on Udemy? Like, is there a special like a link to click? Is there a fee? I guess you have to upload videos and get it approved. I mean, what are the steps there?
Um, yeah, it's really easy. You really just, you go on Udemy, you have a profile there, you say, you want to become an instructor, you start uploading your video, you click like, I want to make a course called XYZ. They take you through like a step asking for your experience and filming experience. And then they just take you to a screen where you start uploading lectures. And it's really that simple. So the hardest part is to, come up with a good course topic, and create the lectures that cover the course well, right? So you have to be relatively good at presenting it. Make sure that when you plan the course that you cover the course in a complete way, so that when a person, they start at maybe zero, but when they finish your course, they feel accomplished. They feel like they know what they're doing. You really took them from A to B. That's really important to achieve for the student, and it's really important, and it's something that I guess took me a lot of time, is to cut the fat from a course, right? So I used to repeat myself a lot. I used to just to make sure people didn't um, really picked up on the important details, but then that kind of made the course longer. It added extra time in the course, and then people got bored, and then they quit the course. So now I also focus on making the course kind of quick, and delivering information really quickly, moving on, moving forward, and moving along, so that it's entertaining for the student and not boring. That's important as well. So yeah, but if you're starting out, you just got to get the recording equipment, which is not expensive. You can record with your computer, so you don't even need like recording equipment really. Like you don't need a camcorder, so it's really cheap to start. Udemy charges nothing. All you do is just upload the lectures, submit your course. They have a review process. Most of the time, your course will pass the review process, and then there's if you're for a first-time person, there's another process of becoming a premium instructor, but that's also like only a day or two that it will take, and then you're off to the races with your course.
Cool. So I mean, along those lines, what big mistake are you seeing these other Udemy course sellers making?
There's two mistakes that I'm seeing right now that are very like flagrant. First, poor quality courses. So let's say if you're making like YouTube marketing course, let's say, right? Um, there's like over 100 YouTube marketing courses on Udemy. So you better make a really great course or something really unique. Because if you just give the basics of YouTube, right,
They
then
they've already done that. Yeah.
any kind of intermediate student, half of them have probably already either taken other YouTube courses or they've gone through the whole thing themselves, and they're going to be irritated by your course, right? Your course doesn't offer that much value, and they're just going to give a bad review. That's one thing. So your course, it's in the marketplace. It's not in a vacuum. So you have to make sure like do your market research. Like, what are the existing courses, and how can yours stand out and be different, and what can it really deliver? That's one thing, and it's very important. But the other thing is sometimes people teach for the purpose of making money rather than like really teaching something that they're really expert in. Because I see like subpar experts, right? Like novices teaching, like saying, "Hey, I'm expert," right? And
Right.
then making a course teaching some, again, like in a marketplace that doesn't hold up. If you're like a novice and maybe you're delusional, or maybe you're hoping it will squeak by, you can't teach like half a topic, or the basics. It just doesn't fly anymore, right? So I see a lot of people teaching something where they're truly not an expert in that. um, it probably can be said something like that about my courses. Like, am I a philosopher? No, right? Am I a PhD in philosophy? No. But I did take that course. I think the defense is that there's almost no ideas of mine in that course. I just took a survey of the great thinkers, right?
Right.
So I didn't need to be a philosopher myself. I just quoted, I just summed up the works of other philosophers. But if you're trying to show your stuff, you better be a super expert.
Well, and that makes a lot of sense. And I mean, it's like, you're teaching philosophy because like you know it and you love it and you've done it for years, as opposed to if someone said, "Hey, I'm going to make a philosophy course," and they open up Wikipedia, right? Or like you have your course on WordPress, and I saw that there's things about like how to hire someone to get it developed, about how to do technical support, as opposed to if someone said, uh, if they just opened up WordPress and just clicked through the tabs and said, "Check out this tab, check out this tab." Like, I guess that's the big difference, right? Is that
Yeah,
you have the
and
mastery to some degree.
in WordPress, my course doesn't promise a lot from the get-go. For example, right? Like, I'm not the number one WordPress guy. And my course didn't intend that particular course is a very niche WordPress course. It's basically how to get up and running in a day. So just how to like get your hosting set up, how to get a domain name, how to like get it all set up, how to be up and running in a day or two. And that's the goal, right? Because I see a lot of people taking like months to get their website up or something. But by no means did that course intend to be like some super duper WordPress advanced course, right? It's a very beginning course. So I only promised a certain amount, and I delivered that limited amount in that course. That it's for some people. For people who are intermediate or advanced, it's not for them. That's another thing. If you should be clear in your course what your course promises, right? Because
Makes
a
sense.
beginner, like a super duper advanced course, it's not right for them. It's going to overwhelm them. So my course is like a niche WordPress course for my audience, because my audience specifically, they struggle with setting up their business. So for them, it made sense because they need to set up all the basics. Um, but yeah, so either I kind of limit the promise of the course, or kind of make it a niche course, Um, and sometimes, like, some topics, they're limited, right? Like in WordPress, you literally can just walk people through how to do, set it up to a certain degree, and it's black and white. It's like, here's how you do it, follow these steps. But what about, like, some topics, they have more gray areas, like social media marketing. Why does something go viral and another thing does not? Right? That's more like a voodoo slash gray area slash a lot of creativity involved there, and there's so many different approaches to it. So different courses, really can really have to approach them in different ways. Some are black and white, some are totally gray area, but the ones, in all cases, I mean, you have to be expert enough to teach to the degree that your course promises.
And I like that way of thinking, and I like a couple of things about Udemy and about the way you title your courses. First of all, I like on Udemy that when I search something, I can narrow it down by beginner, intermediate, or expert. So that if I'm searching on YouTube, I guess there's boxes to check where I can be like, okay, only get the expert courses. And then the other thing I like is about the courses that you have. I mean, you have your courses like there. I saw one somewhere where it was like how you got on like 50 podcasts or something. So if I
right?
get that, I'm like, okay, well, Alex is going to show me like exactly the steps that he took to get this result, but it's not like you're saying like how to get a billion views, then it's just like some kind of foggy idea, right?
Exactly, exactly. If there's some promise that the course makes, I make sure that the course really delivers on the promise. That's super important. Um, yeah. Otherwise, people will just complain. If you bought a watermelon in the store and you opened it and it was blueberries, or it's an impossible example, but you know what I'm saying, right?
Yeah, like it's a bait and switch.
Yeah, yeah. Certainly people should get what they think that they're getting at a high degree of quality.
I mean, that makes a lot of sense. And then, I mean, do you know if, so if you, I mean, if you sell a lot of courses on Udemy and if your courses get rated highly, does Udemy reward you? Do they kind of make you appear higher in the search results, kind of like Google and stuff?
Kind of, yes. It's interesting, on different websites like Amazon, YouTube, there's different paths to generating a lot of sales and views or whatever, right? So for one way to think about it is, on Amazon, on YouTube, there's, and Amazon too, there's like on the right side of YouTube, there's like video, other people like these videos, right? You might also be interested in these videos, right? And very often videos which get a lot of views, it's not from search. Because if you think about it, search always has a limit. You cannot get more views than the number of people searching, right? So search actually, it's something that we see, and it's something that's on the forefront of our minds because we see it and we want to rank. But the true secret of getting a lot of views on YouTube, a lot of sales on Amazon, a lot of sales on Udemy, or any of these kinds of things, even a lot of discovery in podcasts, right? Or whatever, right? Or even apps. Almost all of these things work on this principle where the stuff that's really good gets recommended a tremendous amount, right? Because all the search terms have a certain limit. You're not going to get past that. But there's no limit. There's almost no limit to how much the platform can recommend you. If you become one of the top sellers within your category, right? Like one of the top podcasts or one of the top books on Amazon, your book is always going to be recommended in your category. Like, hey, people who bought this book also like this book. And that recommendation will appear on thousands and thousands of pages every day. And that's really, I think, that's the better thing than SEO. But almost nobody focuses on it because it's not as visual. We rarely see our products there, and we don't picture like, hey, it's not viable for us, right? We don't aim for it. But that's really where people become wealthy.
I like that, and I hadn't thought about that before. Like, so you're looking to get ranked on recommendations, not on searches. So, as far as you moving forward with Udemy and making your courses and things like that, I mean, do you have any big plans? Do you have anything coming up that has you really excited?
Yes, I have a couple of things. I am slowing down my new course creation, and I'm going to be focusing on improving my existing courses and really improving my own speaking, my own presentation style, because it's infinite how much you can improve that. And so that's one thing I'm doing. But one really exciting thing that I'm doing is I've set up a coaching program of sorts where I am where I kind of set people up with a website, an e-commerce website, and allow them to license courses from me and sell that on their site. So they can have their own mini Udemy, and basically like I mentioned earlier, it's an e-commerce it's an e-commerce business. So it's directly somebody buys something, they get revenue, right? So it's transactional, money comes right away. So so essentially I set people up with their own small Udemy, and all they have to do is just sell the courses and keep the profits. And I think it's a great business because e-learning is it's a rapidly growing young market. I kind of equate this market to maybe how the mobile apps were in 2009. People were like, what the heck is this? They kind of knew what it was, but the people who got into it early, they made a lot of them made significant money. And then of course once the app marketplace became crowded and everybody else got on it, but it was a little late. So now I feel like the e-learning market is that early time, like 2009 for apps. And so this is a way for people to get in on having their own e-commerce platform, which they can grow, have more courses, or grow their students and just make a lot of money out of it. And I think it's a lucrative business, and I'm excited because I kind of help people get set up with the whole thing, the courses, the website, and even teach them how to sell it.
So do you have a web address for that?
It's really just people have to email me, and like I mentioned, like I do like that 15-minute $5 consultation, and during the consultation, it's really I have to talk to a person and ask them what they wanted, what do they want to teach themselves? Do they want to license existing content? I have to get like a whole bunch of things in a conversation from a person to really see what makes sense for them.
Okay.
So there isn't like I really should make like a written program for it, like almost like a coaching program. I don't have that at the moment, but I'm going through it with a few people. I'm in the middle of going through it with a few people, but I really should make it more formal.
Well, there's only so many hours in a day, right? For you
Yeah.
to do those fun things. Well, cool. Well, I'm really glad that we had you on the show, Alex, and we'll put the links that you want at robertplank.com/102. And man, like I really like. I mean, pretty much every course, especially of yours that I click on, I'm just seeing thousands and thousands of people took these courses, and so it's like there's got to be crazy traffic on this, and I'm just blown away by how many reviews things have and how many people are clicking around. It just seems like a huge marketplace where it's still growing.
Yeah, it's a fantastic market to get into. Either on either by teaching on Udemy or having your own small Udemy of your own. I think it's one of the good businesses of today. One of the things that's still growing, but not it's saturated, but it's not saturated at the point where it's over. There's still room.
Right. So stop thinking about it and go do it, right?
Right away. Yeah.
Sounds like good advice to me. Cool. So there we go.